I want to start with your first ever Big 12 power rankings.
Yeah.
So who is your scrub daddy?
My scrub daddy is at the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
The very bottom?
Yeah.
The bottom, I believe.
Yeah, Houston.
Yeah.
I think
Houston.
everybody probably has Houston. No. Wow.
It was between Houston
Well,
and Cincinnati for me, but I ended up with Houston.
Anyway, let's look at your power rankings.
Yeah. So listen, I got Houston last. I look at this as like clusters almost, where there are groups.
There are 12 clusters.
There are groups of teams that I feel like the margins are very thin, and then there's tiers within the power ranking. This is deep, right? So my first cluster, I got Utah at 1, Kansas State at 2, Kansas at 3, Arizona at 4, Oklahoma State at 5, Iowa State at 6. Those
you think that 6 is a cluster?
I think those 6 are a cluster.
That's fair.
I think it's I do definitely feel like the margins between Arizona, Kansas State, Utah, if you want to even separate that. But I think Oklahoma State and Iowa State are better than the next couple of teams I'm going to list. West Virginia, I think, is a dark horse, but I still need to see more from them. UCF coming in at 8, TCU at 9, Texas Tech at 10, Colorado 11, Arizona State at 12, BYU at 13, Baylor at 14, Cincinnati at 15, Houston at 16. I would say that middle cluster goes from West Virginia to Colorado, and then ASU to Houston is that last one.
I see a lot of West Virginia hype. Why are you so excited about West Virginia?
I just feel like when you come off of a season like last year, where
they overachieved like a mofo.
They were predicted to be the worst team in the conference, and they ended up winning a bowl game.
Yeah, their coach was in a hot seat.
Right? And so to be able to capitalize on that momentum, obviously it doesn't always happen, but I do think there's something to be said when you're returning a lot of players from a team that was kind of like that, and why wouldn't you have the confidence to go in and be just as good? And now maybe teams are actually going to be expecting them, and it's not this massive jump, which is why I'm not going to put them in the top 5 or the top 3 or anything like that. But I think they'll be one of the better teams in this conference.
Who do you think is a team that could underperform this year?
Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing is we have to weigh our expectations and what we believe them to be, which is a lot lower than national.
Yeah, so you're saying underperform national.
Underperform national, it's 1,000% Colorado. I mean, I know that it's not the end all be all, and we've talked about it, but the fact that they're one of the top 15 teams in EA.
Yeah, they're 16 overall.
College football 25.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. And the expectations internally with them as well is just, hey, we're gonna compete for a college football playoff spot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to be getting a bowl game. You're going to be fighting for it, but I think out of all of them, maybe TCU, but I'll go with Colorado.
What about you, Shane? What do you have for your Big 12 power rankings?
Mine's a little different than yours. Your guys's. So if we're going to the bottom, both of you guys have Houston at the bottom. Houston last year was so bad, and they kind of had to rearrange their entire team, but they also brought in Tulane's head coach, who knows how to change things around a little bit. So I'm not super low on this team as much as everybody else is. That being said, I think 14, 15, 16 are all very bad football teams. I have Baylor twice up there. What happened? Who's missing? That's supposed to be UCF at 12. So UCF is at 12, just behind Arizona State. This is where things get a little weird. I'm not really sure where to put Arizona State, because as we've talked to Kenny about this, this team, on paper has gotten better, but we don't know what this team's going to look like until they play a football game this year, a real football game this year. So I don't really know what to think of this team. They can be anywhere from 8 to 16 in my mind. A lot of places in doing research for getting the gauge of the national media have ASU at 16. They have them at the last place in the conference, which, again, I don't think it's that disrespectful given what's going on here, but you just don't, you don't really, they can't see what we're seeing. So,
yeah.
And at the same time, it's hard to know what this team's going to look like when they're actually playing. And then at my top, I have Kansas higher than both of you guys. I really think Kansas is going to be look, the big thing is Jalen Daniels' health, obviously, but this team has been very, very, very good in the past 3 years. And I think that Jalen, who is in his last year of eligibility, hopefully can stay healthy, knock on wood. and surprise some people. Obviously, Utah, the top spot. Big 12 is about to F around and find out about Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising, who is there for his 19th season. Get a job. Actually, no. Cam Rising can stay in college football forever. Arizona's 4 for me. Oklahoma State. There's not really any big surprises in the middle, except for Colorado.
Yeah, Sweet Prince
talk
Kenny.
to me about Colorado, because Sweet Prince Kenny in the chat with a $1.99 super chat saying, Shane, how dare you put CU at 7? Are you kidding me?
So Colorado is different from every other team in the middle of the pack. From 5 through 12, you look at mine. You get Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Colorado Tech, West Virginia, TCU, ASU, Baylor. Colorado, the thing that they have differently from all of those middle teams is they have the best player of all those teams. I think Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter could both be the best player on any of those teams. Maybe Ollie Gordon, give or take. But they have stars. They legitimately have stars, and they have really high-end talent. Their offensive line got a lot better. I don't think they're going to be that bad this year, guys. I really don't think they're going to be that bad. I think they could underperform because people are giving them expectations super high, but I don't think they're going to be that bad. So I have them at 7.
Guess we'll see. Guess we will see. I agree.
Also, Cincinnati is terrible. I don't understand how anybody has them anything above 14, 13.
I don't think I have Cincinnati. I think I have Cincinnati at 15, but let's go ahead and see. This is what I've got for my Big 12 power rankings. So, from top to bottom, I've got Utah atop the conference. Kyle Whittingham is just a masterclass of a coach, and I think year over year, people just disrespect and underappreciate what he's done at Utah for the last, 20 years. Saw the news today that they've already kind of got a coach in waiting for when Whittingham does decide to hang it up. But you get Cam Rising back. That's a program that's built in the trenches. So I think Utah is going to win this conference. I got Kansas State at 2, Kansas at 3. I'm kind of with you, Shane. Jalen Daniels can be an X factor this season. I know somebody had it in the chat, Glenn, saying Kansas might be last year's Washington Penix led. I think Jalen Daniels is as talented of a quarterback as Michael Penix Jr. was at Washington.
Whoa!
But he's got to stay healthy.
They're really different.
He's got to stay healthy.
They're the same in that regard, but I guess overall wise, maybe. Yeah,
they are different quarterbacks.
Not play style, but like success.
Yeah, I think just pure talent. I think Jalen Daniels is a really, really talented quarterback.
Jalen Daniels doesn't have anywhere near the arm that Michael Penix had.
Yeah, we will see.
He's still alive and throwing the football.
Oh no, he's with the Atlanta Falcons. So
yeah, you're right. So his career is over. It's over for sure. So yes, I have Kansas at 3. I've got Iowa State at 4. I believe that's the highest anybody has Iowa State out of the 3 of us. Rocco Beck, their quarterback from last season, returns. He was an absolute stud.
Freaking stud.
He was a stud last season. Matt Campbell, I believe, is one of the longest, if not the longest, tenured coach in the Big 12. That has been a part of the Big 12, obviously Whittingham over at Utah. I've got Arizona at 5. As much as people, myself included, would like to see the Wildcats fail and drown, it helps when you have Noah Fafita and T-Mac. Again, T-Mac, one of the best players, one of the best wide receivers in the nation this season. So I do think they drop off a little bit. They're not a 10-win team.
Got to stay healthy, though.
They do got to stay healthy. I do think they're certainly a team that's capable of being in the upper echelon of this conference.
Yeah, I mean, I had them top 4 also. It's the health factor for T-Mac. The foot injury has been bothering him. We haven't really seen anything from him yet. He was put on the Big 12 Media Day slate, so he is expected to play this year. That's not what I'm saying by any means, but that's a big part of it.
Oh yeah,
and a new coach. I mean,
yeah,
you don't know what really to expect. Obviously, it's not his first time coaching, but you can't go out there and confidently say he's going to come in and tear it up and be amazing. You have to see it first.
As much as they hate Jedd Fisch, he helped them.
He's a good coach.
So yes, Arizona at 5. Oklahoma State at 6. Interested to see the quarterback situation this season. I believe Alan Bowman is returning for Oklahoma State. I know at the start of last season they were just a carousel of quarterbacks, but they do have Ollie Gordon, who is one of the best players in all of college football, in my opinion. I think he will certainly be in contention for a Heisman at some point this season. Whether at the end of the season he is actually on stage, kind of wait and see. But he is that good of a player.
Alan Bowman is coming back. It's his 7th.
Yeah, he's been playing college football a long time. Go ahead, Eric.
Get a job.
There you go. I got UCF at 7. They've got themselves former Arkansas quarterback KJ Jefferson. Interested to see kind of how he joins that roster. Obviously,
I'm disgusted in you.
UCF in terms of recruiting over the last couple of years has definitely been trending upward. I've got West Virginia at 8, Texas Tech at 9.
Can we talk about West Virginia for a second?
You want to talk about West Virginia? Let's talk
because
about
both of you guys have them pretty high. Do you not remember the conversation we had about West Virginia last year? They were the team that had nobody do anything good, and they won 9 games.
Yeah, but I feel like that kind of says something, no?
No, it says nothing. It says they won.
That they got lucky?
Yes.
You don't get lucky 9 games of college football.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't think so.
No, not
That's
that.
a lot of games.
I mean, they
had no rusher. I got to pull it up again.
I do remember the really weird stat,
They had
though.
no rusher over 800 yards, and they had no receiver over 501 yards. That's disgusting.
It's weird. But look, I think, where do I have them? At 8?
Yeah.
At 8? So middle of the pack in this conference.
I don't think that's crazy.
I don't think they get much
crazy.
higher, to be honest with you. I don't think they'll pass in Oklahoma State. I don't think they ever get to 6. I could see them being pretty low in this conference as well. I think that's probably the team, though, that could have the highest ceiling, lowest floor out of some of these teams.
West Virginia?
Yeah.
I feel like their ceiling is lower. I feel like it's the other way around.
Out of middle of the pack teams?
I feel like it's the other way around. I feel like they have.
Wouldn't Colorado have the highest ceiling?
I think Colorado probably has the highest ceiling out of middle of the pack teams, just because if everything does go right with them. But with West Virginia, I feel like it's more like they're not going to be. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I don't think there's an outcome here where they're one of the worst teams in the Big 12. But I also don't see an outcome where they're one of the best teams. I think they're more likely to be on the upper end of the middle of the pack.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. So let's see. Who do I have at 9? Texas Tech. Shout out Jalen Conyers. Colorado at 10. Colorado at 10. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. 2 of the best players in the conference. 2 of the best players in the country. But I don't necessarily believe in Dion as a coach. And I don't necessarily know if I'm all in on that roster. So they could say they got better. We will see it on the field, as we will with the rest of these teams. But any opportunity to put Colorado lower in the rankings, I will absolutely take, because I'm still not sold on them. I'm still not sold on Colorado. I wasn't sold on them last year. Again, you could say they got better. Maybe they did on paper. But now you are entering a different realm. There's a lot more teams in this conference, and there's a lot of talent. Especially up at the top of this conference.
At what point would you believe in Colorado? How far into the season and how successful do they have to be for you to be like, you know what? Maybe everybody else was right.
Who are their first 2 conference games?
I don't know.
This season?
Go up their schedule.
I know in non-conference, I believe they have North Dakota State, and I know they have Nebraska.
So, yeah, North Dakota State, Nebraska, Colorado State, Baylor, UCF, Kansas State are their
If you
first
go into
3.
that Kansas State game
undefeated,
then...
So if they have Kansas State and Arizona in back-to-back weeks,
I'll
those 2 games...
I'll sit up in my chair if
they win those games?
Not win those games, but if you're undefeated, getting ready to take on a Kansas State, again, all that shows me is that you've taken care of business, that you've won the games that you are supposed to win, right?
Right.
And I think at that point, then it's like, okay, we'll see what you do against a Kansas State and an Arizona if you.
I think they'd have to take one of those. They'd have to take one of those games because you think back to last season, like they started off great too, right? And then they started playing.
Yeah.
If you're CU, you just pray to God you beat NDSU or Totri is coming.
Oh yeah, you're done.
Yeah. Oh
you're
yeah,
done.
the internet. Yeah. I'm going to be relentless all season long. Just going to leave it at that. I do have Arizona State right behind Colorado at 11. I believe in this roster. I think it's an improved roster from last year. However, I'm more interested to see about Sam Leavitt in this quarterback competition, whether it's him, whether it's Sims. I don't know. I don't know what this quarterback room is going to totally look like. Or Bourguet.
You just counting him out.
Or Navi.
You dropped Sims, but not Bourguet.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Dropping Sims, but not Bourguet.
It's a quarterback carousel. I think Leavitt is going to be the starter. I genuinely do. And if this team can have one quarterback from start of the season to the end of the season, then I think Arizona State is in a position to win a bowl game or to qualify to be in a bowl game.
Yeah,
But we'll see. The quarterback situation hasn't really been anything great over the last couple seasons.
You're hoping that you find gold, but
I don't even need gold. I'll take silver.
DJ Freeman. Yeah.
I'll take silver.
Glenn asking, why are some of your rankings on projections not sold on Colorado, but we're sold on Utah being number 1? I don't know what that really means.
I don't know why we wouldn't be high on Utah. Like,
I don't understand the question.
Why are some of your rankings
based on
some of your rankings on projections not sold on Colorado, but we're sold on Utah being number 1? Like, why are we projecting Utah to be the number 1 team?
But we're not sold on Colorado, is what you're saying?
I would say there's a lot more history.
Well,
with
one is
Utah.
overall continued success from Utah.
Yeah.
And one is overall roster turnover on Colorado. It's uncertainty, but I think I'm more a little more on your side with Colorado.
Yeah, he's higher on Colorado than either of us.
I mean, I think that Colorado out of every team has the most opportunity to move up. I'm just not comfortable being in a position saying that that's going to happen. Yeah,
It's not.
That's the thing is like it. Even if they're undefeated up to Kansas State and Arizona, it's like besides UCF, those are all games that they should win. Yes, and people are saying NDSU plays tough football. Colorado State will play them hard too.
Dude, I hope they lose that game.
But those are teams they should beat. They should beat North Dakota State. They should beat Nebraska. They should beat Colorado State. They should beat Baylor. UCF is where things get a little bit more interesting, but if the hype is real around Colorado, they should beat UCF as well.
Yeah, it's also even if they're undefeated by that, or even if they're not undefeated by that time, it just depends on how they're playing, what they look like, what this team looks like, or even if they're undefeated at that time. Like if they look like the same team as last year, then no, but you just never know. Glenn saying Cam might not be Cam anymore. The power of Whit. I mean, yeah, Whittingham is going to translate in this conference. The Cam Rising question is a fair one. I mean, the dude is on the wrong side of 30, and he's older, but also the ACL. Like we didn't see him at all last year. We thought there was a chance he might play middle of the season, end of the season, and you didn't see him at all. Like the knee was a lot worse than everybody thought. So yeah, it's a fair question. But
still the best hair in the conference.
Yeah. Well, we don't know yet.
Is he going to Big 12 Media Day? He's got to, right?
There's no way he's not.
He's got to.
So if we're talking like ceilings and floors and stuff, especially like with Colorado, but over to Utah, out of the top 4 or 5 teams, do they have the highest ceiling? Or are they just because like I think Kansas
has the highest ceiling.
I think Kansas State I think has a higher ceiling. And possibly,
I don't know about
possibly Arizona.
We're talking overall on like
just
a national.
overall like who. Like with you, I think Utah is probably the safest bet to win the conference, but I don't think that they have like if everything goes right for Utah and everything goes right for Kansas, I think Kansas is a better team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes and no, because if everything goes right for Utah, it means they're completely healthy. Cam Rising is even better than he was before. Their brand of football translates really well to the Big 12, and the type of football they play is really tough, which means they can kind of compete with any style, which means that they could make some noise in the college football playoff because let's not forget the expansion this year.
Yeah. God, I'm so excited.
Kansas is the only reason why I think they might have higher upside than Utah and probably do is because Jalen Daniels' ceiling is higher than Cam Rising's.
Agreed.
Probably. But I don't know. And Kansas, I think, can take a bigger step forward than Utah can.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I forgot Dorian Singer.
Yeah.
Is
Utah's very young.
Utah now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see the rest of my my power rankings. I know Arizona State at 11, TCU at 12, Baylor at 13, BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston in that order from 14 to 16. You could shuffle any of those 3 at the bottom, and I really don't care. I think they're all pretty bad this season. But we will see. I know, again, a lot of people not giant fans of Cincinnati or Houston this season.